Alright, so on the 21st of April in 2023, the world received something unexpected. Something that I think everyone could have never expected in a million years. Something that the goddamn day before had a bigger chance of becoming a playable game before this release was even going to be a thought. On April 21st, 2023, Dead Island 2 finally was released to the public. We waited so long to receive a sequel to the beloved franchise. God, 10 whole years of waiting for another Dead Island game after Riptide. Or was it really that long? Little bit of a history lesson here. How's it going? I'm Professor Skrakes. But Dead Island is a franchise owned entirely by the publishing team known as Deep Silver. In 2011, they, alongside the then incredibly unrecognized Techland, created the game known as Dead Island. This game became an overnight success, mainly theorized due to the marketing, as the game still to this day sits at fairly average reviews. This didn't stop both Deep Silver and Techland though, as they created the direct sequel of Dead Island Riptide in 2013. This game would also be a success, however many people would cite the game as rushed because it really was. Techland states that alongside the creative disputes they had with the IP, they've also had to deal with rushing issues, which ultimately led to the departure between the two companies. Techland would go on to make the zombie game staple of Dying Light 1 and 2, making them an absolute titan of a company in present time. Deep Silver, on the other hand, would continue to try to make Dead Island 2 after announcing it in 2014. I say try, as after Techland, Deep Silver would go through 3 other development companies trying to make this game in the span of the 9 years. This does not mean that Deep Silver did not release any Dead Island content within the span of 10 years, however, as they would plan to release 4 more games connected to the Dead Island universe. They even went as far as making Dead Island comics after the events of Dead Island Riptide, with them having a partnership with goddamn Marvel Studios of all companies. That's all good and well to continue on the hype of Dead Island while also dealing with the development hell of the second game, except it really wasn't. Every single gaming project relating to this franchise failed and failed miserably. From canceling a game 2 years after launch to releasing the most repetitive run and gun game ever, Deep Silver dropped the ball 4 different times while trying to expand the DI universe. So let's just take a look at all these failed projects. Escape Dead Island would be the first game to release after Dead Island Riptide. It would be released to the public in 2014, and the game would not be developed by Techland, Dambuster, or any development team related to any Dead Island game in the past or future. Instead, this third-person game would be made by the team known as Fat Shark, with their only notable game series that they've made being Hamilton's Great Adventure. Now, out of every Dead Island spinoff I've played or seen, this game has to be, well, it's just mid, if I'm being honest. And before you get your hopes up, this is not meaning a lot. This game is super unpolished. I'm just meaning out of all the 4 games released in the span of 10 years, Escape Dead Island is just in the middle of everything. Set 6 months after the events of Benoit and Benoit 2.0, you take on a totally new protagonist in a totally new environment with a totally new art scheme. You are Cliff, a college student who amounts to nothing in his dad's eyes. You are now trying to get the scoop of what everything went down on Benoit alongside you and your 2 friends, Linda and Devin. Upon going to another island that was never even mentioned until now, which we are gonna call Benoit 3.0, things go sour almost immediately as your boat gets shot down, Linda gets bit, and now you're dealing with, I don't know, what the fuck is happening, brain damage? Like I said though, this game is super unpolished, almost as if nobody decided to playtest this game. For starters, the story's pacing is god-awful and slower than a snail with Alzheimer's. I shit you not, the first hour of the game has you be introduced to the typical zombie not once,
they're eating each other.
not twice,
Fuck!
but 3 separate times.
What is that?
Even the establishment of zombies on an island wasn't really apparent until about an hour and a half of playing. That's very annoying. This game also works off of a semi-linear map, which has no side quests, no hidden weapons, and no shops or traders, meaning that the only real thing that you need to do in this game is just get to point A to point B and call it a night. Escape Dead Island makes up for the lack of side quests and other activities though by padding out the entire game by including collectibles, and dare I say more collectibles. You can collect postcards, Tales of the Island, Charon's diary. How the fuck did that get here? He's a prisoner of Benoit. A scientist log, the owner of Geo Lab's diary, pictures, and much, much more. Although they do expand the lore of the entire universe, a lot of these collectibles felt incredibly unnecessary and felt like they were just put there because Fat Shark couldn't come up with another feature for this game. Then there's this very apparent graphical style of the game that looks like if my little cousin's marker drawings become a playable game. This shit looks just horrendous. I understand what Fat Shark was trying to get at with trying to make a comic book game, as Escape Dead Island is just an expansion of the lore in said comics, but this did not look well on the Xbox 360 when released, and it surely does not look good now. It doesn't help either that all interior settings look incredibly dark and dull, even when some environments on paper sounded really cool, like an underwater laboratory where you can see the fish and the sharks attack the laboratory in the clear blue ocean. Oh my god, that sounds beautiful and actually sounds terrifying. But you put that into an Escape Dead Island game and wow, you got a really ugly area. The combat as well isn't good in the slightest, but it did surprise me with a feature that threw me completely off guard. Most of the combat works off of slashing with melee and shooting, and for starters, the guns are actually okay. They're actually very scarce alongside finding ammo, making conserving that ammo actually pretty stressful and fun. However, the melee though really sucks. You cannot find and use random items as weapons anymore. You'll just be given a certain weapon the further you progress in the game. You also cannot repair, craft, or upgrade, making the melee feel very one note. It gets worse though as your stamina bar drains so quickly and replenishes so slowly. The zombies also run faster than you a lot of the time, so outrunning them is essentially impossible. Also, if you're up against a special infected like a screamer or a butcher, you'll become a zombie chow very, very quickly. It's all good though, as Fat Shark implemented a very annoying feature of forcing you to progress involuntarily after dying only a few times. The surprising feature within Escape Dead Island that really makes it stand out from any other Dead Island game is the implementation of stealth. There's some segments where you have to dodge and weave through some zombies, with you also having to take a few out silently. I was actually glad there was finally stealth added into the franchise, and I'm disappointed how it was never utilized more in the future, but the stealth here is not good. A lot of the times you'll be spotted even when not in the view of the zombie, and in other times you can just run up to a group of zombies, kill them, and not get spotted. A lot of the AI in general within Escape Dead Island aren't smart in the slightest. A lot of them will get stuck or will be able to get hit through walls, anything like that, and if you have bad AI in any game involving stealth, the stealth itself will suck. All in all, Escape Dead Island is a good 4 out of 10 game, 3 out of 10, 2 out of 10 game. It's a 2 out of 10 game. It's still a game that can be purchased on Steam if you like. It's still at a set price of $15, which I just do not agree with in the slightest. It just should be free. And the only, and I mean only, reason I recommend you buy this game is due to the return of Zhen Mei that has the reprisal of the only good voice actress in the game, Kim May Guest.
Cliff! The name's Cliff!
I didn't ask.
Dead Island Epidemic was released in 2015 and was created by Stunlock Studios. Out of all the 4 spin-offs, this was the most beloved by far. Many people regard this game as one of the better spin-offs of the 4, but I just cannot agree with this take simply for the fact that I cannot play it. This game is unavailable. It got shut down almost immediately, bro. Pulled from every app store with the servers shut down, Dead Island Epidemic is now just lost to time, never to have a chance of being revived. In fact, this game wasn't even fully released before it was shut down in its beta phase. And it's a shame too, because although one could argue that this shouldn't be a Dead Island game, it looked like an alright game by itself. Dead Island Epidemic is a MOBA type game, otherwise known as a multiplayer online battle arena. It's like if you played any of the Dota games, or if you played Minecraft Legends or anything like that, then you'll understand the concept of Dead Island Epidemic. There were 2 different type of game modes in this game, that being a PvP mode and a PvE mode. PvP had 3 teams of 4 players, and then the zombies try to scavenge the most supplies in a map by either killing bosses, killing each other, capturing flags, or stealing the supplies from enemy bases. PvE mode included a horde mode where you and up to 3 other people would have to try to survive on an endless wave of zombies, which is kinda unfortunate as that mode would get canned and replaced by a PvE crossroads mode. But from what I've seen, the gameplay looked actually entertaining and replayable. I know that's a shocker, with the weapons and characters making the game even more diverse. Like, take a look at these customizable weapons. How cool would this have been in any other other Dead Island game. The creativity here is unironically insane. You can even also play as very interesting characters that had really cool special and unique powers, and you could also play as Zhen Mei or the zombie army goat himself, Sam B. There was even John motherfucking Sitamoy being the announcer for every and any game that you could play.
There are lots of supply points in this area. We're here to bring in the goods, but also clear out any hostiles in your path. Once the barricades are down, there'll be plenty of scavengers.
Fucking tell me right now that this was a failure of a game. Oh wait. Yeah, shit. The most likely reason this game was canned before launch was due to the lack of income, of course. There was absolutely no marketing for this game. In fact, I didn't even know that this was a thing until I was looking up some random characters on the Dead Island wiki and stumbled upon the mentioning of it. And for anyone watching this video right now, whether you played this or not, have you even heard of Dead Island Epidemic before? Like, come on, tell me in the comments below you've heard of a Dead Island Epidemic game. I genuinely think if they did not center Dead Island Epidemic around it being a Dead Island game, and just made a totally new franchise off of this game would be so much more recognizable. I feel like Deep Silver tried to wrap this MOBA game to Dead Island just so it could get more recognition to its game, and when that didn't work out because you're actually supposed to advertise a game, I know that's also a shocker, it was just too late. Out of all the spin-offs I've looked at for this video, I'm disappointed that this was one out of the 2 lost to time games. Yes, I didn't mean to say one of 2. Dead Island Survivors is a tower defense mobile game developed by Fish Lab Studios. This game would be released on the 4th of July in 2018. Oh wow, how patriotic is it to kill zombies? Okay, I'm digging it. Unfortunately though, this game would be canned 2 years later on July 4th. Oh. I actually do remember playing this game when it first came out. I think I was like 15 or 16 when I first played it, and I thought it was just okay. It definitely did not feel like a Dead Island game, that's for sure, and it definitely did not need to be released. Survivors had you taking on one character that can be both from the main storyline or completely new, with your goal being to stop zombies from reaching your boat. Alongside taking the zombies head on, you can also place down towers, traps, and companions to help defend your area. You can also upgrade yourself and your tower via opening up different crates, and oh my god, this is just a pay-to-win game. I fucking hate these games. These type of games are so apparent nowadays. Not the genre of zombie tower defense, but the microtransactions. Being in a puzzle-like action-adventure game with a ginormous difficulty curve, only surpassable by either grinding for basic chests that'll ultimately lead you into another difficulty curve, or for purchasing more exotic chests that'll help you breeze through the game like it's nothing. I've been seeing this type of microtransaction more and more within the mobile game genre, and it's always incredibly soulless and money grabbing. In fact, according to the wiki, there was no real storyline, quests, or NPCs that you could talk to. So what was the real point of playing a zombie game like this? Number 1 best zombie game on mobile, my ass. Go play a good zombie game like Into the Dead or Zombie Catchers or Sandbox City. This game, oh my god, this game was so fucking good. Coming into this, I did not expect so much from a $5 game like this, but it was so well worth my money. Dead Island Retro Revenge is a game created by Empty Clip Studios and is an automatic moving run and gun game. It features you, Fatty McGee, trying to run through the streets of California, trying to kill everything and anything in your way to save the cat that seems like it was happier without you, in all honesty. When playing the game, you have 3 different lanes to cross to evade any zombies or barriers. You also have 4 different standard attacks that go in the direction that you're pressing the button. So the bottom arrow button is a bottom kick, the left arrow is a left attack, you know, you get it. There's also 2 special customizable moves that'll let you ravage these zombies, with there as well being special power-ups that you can find throughout the map. But really, if I'm being honest, you can just spam the down button and boom, you win the level. Oh, and speaking of levels, you're actually gonna love this. After beating each and every level, you get an esteemed prize that'll help you either progress to the next stage or will change the scenery of the next area. But me just talking about this feature gives you no justice. Let me just show you all what happens. That's right, I lied. I lied to your face right here, right now. There's no achievement when beating a level, there's no scenery change, it's the same thing over and over again. The same stories, the same zombies, the same everything stretched out for 24 levels. Did you really think there would be an ounce of consideration for any of these games? No. None of these games were good Dead Island games. None of these games even needed to be made. The only good game that I would play out of this bunch is Dead Island Epidemic. But even then, the limitations of it being a Dead Island game killed the game, and it doesn't even exist anymore. These were all games that were clearly made to bring back the attention and hype for Dead Island 2. And yet that hype for the game was already out the door by 2016 due to lack of transparency. Is this what the Dead Island fans deserve? To have a shit mobile games or unpolished games to hold everyone off before we jump ship to another zombie game? It's incredibly sad because I love Dead Island 1 and Riptide. I probably have hundreds of hours in these combined games throughout my entire life, with many more fans having hundreds of more hours played. And even with Dead Island 2 being a very, very mixed game by many, I genuinely think it's safe to say that even though Techland made Dead Island, they're the ones who made it. Without them, the franchise would have definitely never had the impact that it did, and with the overall decline of the franchise after them and Deep Silver parted ways, my theory might not be far from the truth. I don't know about the developer teams behind any of these games and how they went with making them, but I do hold the belief that if any publishing team like Deep Silver wants to market a game a part of their franchise, and are willing to put it up for sales for consumers to buy, then they're the main ones responsible for the flack. But what did you all think about these Dead Island spin-offs? Have you played them? Do you like them? Have you even heard of these games before this video? Leave it down in the comments below, but other than that, I'm gonna end this video here. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys do like this video, maybe hit that like button and subscribe, but other than that, I will see you all in another video. Bye for now.